A fully woman-owned business, which is also a family business that's transitioning from the second generation to the third, and added to that, a business that deals with security guarding services. Interesting business, don't you think? Hello and welcome back to Season 3 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host, Krista Good. Womenpreneur Asia is my way of bringing to you stories of hope, courage, and optimism from inspiring yet down-to-earth women in business across Malaysia and Asia. This episode is sponsored by Reebok Studio. Today, I'm speaking to Saliza Abdullah, the Managing Director and CEO of BG Capital Holdings Group of Companies in Malaysia. Saliza manages a 100% women-owned security services business, one which belonged to her late mother. The original business offered physical guarding and security services. Since taking over, Saliza has expanded the scope of business to include training and surveillance, and the business celebrates its 30th anniversary next year. We spoke about the challenges and complexities of managing a family business. Saliza was thankful that her mother gave her a lot of freedom to manage the business, unlike some family businesses where the founders would often hold on to the major decision-making. Saliza herself has been in the business for 20 years, and we talked about business growth and sustainability of a business that's hitting the 30-year mark. How did she carve a memorable business and stand out in a male-dominated industry? What makes a successful business, and what truly are the success markers besides the bottom line? Let's get into Saliza's story. Hi, Saliza. Welcome to Womenpreneur Asia.
Hi, Krista. Thanks for having me.
How was your day today, Saliza?
It's been a busy day as usual, working from home, juggling mother duties and being the boss at the office. But it's been wonderful, especially now it's school holiday, so lesser work at home so I can focus more on office work.
That's great. So, Saliza, I want to ask you this question, right? Before we get into your business, I do know a little bit about your background because we got on a pre-interview call. And I know you went into this business fresh out of university. Am I right?
Yes, exactly.
And at that time, you had just graduated with a degree in electrical engineering.
Yes, and now
And you're in this business, right? So what was in your mind when your mother asked you to join this business?
Okay, thanks for that question. That's actually a very tough question, having to go back to 20 years ago on what made me decided to choose the career that I'm in right now. But I think before I answer that question, maybe I would like to share a bit more with you and your audience, some background about the business that I'm in and why being in this business, is very important. And it's not just about, the economy side, like making money, it's not just about the figures, at the end of the day or the bottom line, but there's more to it than just, running this business with the family members. So Barani Guard is the first ever family business company that was set up 30 years ago by my late mother. She passed away in 2016, and coincidentally today is her birthday. She would have turned 77 if she would still be alive. So 30 years ago, she set up this company. And 8 years later, into the business, that was around year 2000, upon my graduation from Purdue University. I spent about 4 years in the United States. I completed my bachelor degree in electrical engineering at Purdue. So that was when she actually asked me that question, would I be interested to help her to run this family business? Then Barani Guard was pretty much a small company. I would say it was pretty much like a moms and pop kind of business, whereby my mom was also the tea lady. She had to do her own photocopy. We had a small space, office space. And I remember that whenever I had to go to the office to accompany her, when I was still studying, there was no space for me to sit. I had to sit at a small corner on the floor in her office room. So when she asked me that question, of course, I would definitely interested to work in the corporate line, because I was made and I'm very much interested to be in the corporate sector. But when she asked me that question, I look back and I saw her sacrifices, the thing that she has done for the family, that she had invested all her hard-earned money in purchasing the company and starting the business. And I'm like the youngest child in the family. I have two elder sisters, personal reason, because they are not interested in all that. So when my mom asked me that question, being the last child, I couldn't say no to her. Okay, so I took it as a responsibility for me to say yes and help her to grow and expand the business. So like I said, I did not join a family business that is very well established at that time, but I decided to join because I love my mom so much and I would love to be able to contribute back to her and help her in whatever ways that I can.
What was your feeling back then when you first joined?
Okay, honestly speaking, okay, like I said, I guess I've always wanted to join the corporate. Okay, so going back to my primary school or secondary school in years of experience, I've always been an active student. I was the class monitor, I was the deputy head prefect, I was the student elected body representative. I participated in the netball, the school team and all that. So I've always been an active student, I got straight A's in my PMR, I went to a boarding school, I got scholarship to go to United States. So I always knew that, okay, she started a business when I was in secondary school, but I never had in my mind that I'm gonna be joining her in running the business after my graduation. Okay, I always knew that okay, she started a business, but I always worked very hard in making sure that my resumes look good, so I'll be employed by the corporate employers. But when she asked me in year 2000, I graduated in summer of 2000, yeah. So that was the year that she actually went to United States, for my convocation. So it was in the United States that she asked me like, why don't you come and work with the family business, when you come back to Malaysia. So of course, at that time, I was like, I don't think I would like to do that. I would like to try out, and work with big corporates and all that. But then she asked me again when I reached Malaysia, having her look into my eyes, with that motherly face, like you are my last, not to say the last resort, but your elder sister didn't want to help me. You are my last hope, for me to continue this business legacy. Okay, so when I look at her, asking me, to help her, of course, I asked around, I asked for some opinions from my relatives, from my friends, and I know everyone, well, when they shared their opinion with me, I'm pretty sure that their intentions was good, but most of them asked me to reconsider. Like, Saliza, you got like CGPA so and so, you got this scholarship, you would have a brighter future if you would have, decided to work, for like the corporate companies and all, not the small SME companies. But that's when I realized that, it's maybe for me, it's not just about, making that big or good money working with corporate, or able to work with a big names, big organization. I know I would be able to go out and tell people, oh, I'm attached to this so and so, but I guess, again, it goes back to what is the purpose of, helping my mom. I think at that time, I kind of knew it from the beginning that I would like to have a better sense of purpose in life, not just about, crafting a great career in my life, but also able to serve my mom. And my mom was the only child, for your information. She didn't have any brothers or any other siblings, her parents at that time already passed away. So I felt like she was all alone. She really needed me to help her out in the business. So it was like, it's a contribution, it's my way of giving back to her and to the family. But I did tell her at that time that if I decided to join the company, she must be able to allow me and trust me to grow the business, because I do not see myself being an entrepreneur or running this security business, for the next 20 or 30 years. I definitely would like to expand and diversify into other areas. So she would need to trust and let me do all that. And that's what she did. She was pretty much very supportive, very open, acceptive to ideas. So I think that's what makes our relationship work in growing the family business.
Wow. So it was probably a very tough decision for you, right? Because you were torn between wanting to work in corporate and having some experience there, and at the same time wanting to support your mother and help her in the business that she was running back then. But I'm glad, in a way, and I think you probably look back at the years with gladness that you did what you did and you made that decision.
Yeah, because we can never predict what's going to happen in the future. We always have to make a decision based on the information that we have in hand. And in life, we always have to take risk, okay? But I do believe that in whatever decision we make, we must be able to take, or we make a decision, we really have to weigh in the pros and cons. I remember when before I actually said yes to my mom, I actually made a list on the things that I want from her. So basically, it was kind of like, I'm going to negotiate with my potential
employer
instead of just saying yes because she was my yeah. So I was like, oh, I think I graduated from the States. I have the CV and all that. So I actually went up to her and I basically gave her like 3 lists of items that I want. Okay. I'm not sure whether I should share it with your audience, but the most important thing is that whatever decision we make, take calculated risks, really weigh in the pros and cons, because you need to be able to have passion in doing something that you want in your life. You cannot be doing just because, I want to help my mom, but you don't see the future in it. Of course, there was no clear future at that time for the business, okay? Because as I said, we were operating pretty much as a moms and pop kind of business. There was no structure, there was no SOP and whatnot. So, but she was very open. I think that's the key. Okay, she was not like a typical mother, especially among Asian, whereby most parents tend to be like, I'm your mother, I'm your father, I know better than you. And this is my business. I invested my hard-earned money into this business. You need to just do whatever I told you to do. She was not like that at all. So I think that really helps, again, as I mentioned, in terms of building our, a professional relationship in the business. Of course, we fall out sometimes, we argue, and I felt bad because, most of the time when you work for other people, when you have something not so good to say about your employers, you can always go back and confide in your parents, but I couldn't do that, So we need to find ways on how to balance that emotions, so that my mom and I were able to get along, like normal when we are at home.
Okay. So now that we heard how you joined the business, okay, right after graduation from university, and how you said yes to your mom, how has the business been for the last almost 30 years, right? Next year you're celebrating a 30th anniversary. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
And yeah, thanks, Krista. We're so proud over that accomplishment, because for those who are familiar with, studies on family business, statistics shows that only 30% companies, family-owned business would be able to successfully transition from first to second generation, and only 13% will be able to transition successfully from second and third. So I'm happy to share that where we are right now, we have transitioned from first to second, especially when my mom passed away about 5 years ago. And not only that, we also have on board my niece, a third generation family member who is actively serving as one of the directors in the family business. and how we have grown within the last 30 years. As I mentioned, we started with one company, Berani Guard, pretty much a typical or a conventional security services provider where we provide, armed guard, Nepalese security personnel, and all that. But in 2008, that was about 8 years after I joined the business in 2001. Okay, 2008, we decided, and again, it was something that we crafted together, and of course with the blessing of my mom, that she agreed that we need to do something about the business in order for us to remain sustainable for the next 20 or 30 years. We cannot be complacent, and what you have mentioned earlier before we start this interview, that we cannot be doing the same thing over and over again, because we're gonna get bored and there's no growth, and the company is not going to be exciting anymore. So in 2008, that's when we decided to restructure the business and set up a group holdings company to enable us to venture into other business. Okay, so in 2008, Berani Guard became the subsidiary of a newly set up company called PG Capital Holdings. Okay, and we also set up a sister company called PG Monitrack, which stands for Monitoring and Tracking. So basically, how we decided to position our company is, instead of a company solely to provide physical guarding services, we put ourselves and position ourselves as a one-stop safety and security solutions provider, providing physical guarding services plus risk management, training, consultancy services, AI surveillance. Because my background is electrical engineering, so of course I'm very much interested to bring on board technologies and how we were able to link that up with trained personnel in order to provide a more effective solutions to our customers. So we also have the base event community space, okay, whereby it is actually a center that was set up or launched in March 2019 by the State Assemblywoman of Subang Jaya, YB Michelle Ng, where we use that space to host and to conduct community-based activities. Okay, so we have done that, for example, in 2019, and unfortunately we weren't able to do it in 2020. For the month of March, we hosted a series of free community programs that would benefit, the residents in Subang Jaya, for example, because our center is in Subang Jaya. So we did line dancing programs. We did like a job placement program for the B40 communities. And how we were able to do this is by connecting all the stakeholders within the area. For example, we got the blessing from the State Assemblywoman, so she has the database the database of the NGOs that will be able to contribute, everyone come together for the same purpose, which is to help the community. So that's something that launched in 2019, and we now have with us a center, similar setup, similar purpose in Alostar, and another one that we're going to be opening up soon, hopefully after the lockdown, in Johor Bahru. So that is the place where we can actually do whatever we want in terms of providing further assistance to the community. Because the way we look at security, just to add on, the way we look at security and safety is not just about it's a service that only those with money can afford to have. But as a service provider in the industry of security, we see our responsibility to enable and to instill confidence in every individual, every single members of the community, for them to be able to be skillful and earn or to be financially independent. Because when you talk about, violence or harassment at the workplace or at home, most of the time it happens because they do not have the confidence to speak up or say no, or they are unable to secure any job because they were not skillful. So hence the reason why being 100% women-owned and women-led company in the very much male-dominated industry of security, we find that we feel that is our calling, that we should be more proactive in terms of helping the men and women members of the communities out there.
Wow. So you have come a long way since the first day that you joined your mom in the business. Since the time that you said yes to your mom, you have grown the business tremendously, right? In the last 20 years that you've been with the company, right? So then how do you get the idea to restructure? I mean, all along, there was that one business entity, but what gave you the idea to really turn it into what you told us just now, like different companies doing different things?
Okay. I think the most important thing, that any entrepreneurs need to have, okay, is the ability to be unique, and be different from the rest of your competitors. We're talking about unique selling point. We're talking about, we apply a lot of this blue ocean strategy, okay? We do not want to compete in the red ocean. Everyone is going to be dying when we compete in the blue ocean. What I want personally is to be able to turn this small company into a business entity that is impactful. When I say the word impactful, it's not necessarily that it's going to be as big as, Berjaya Group, maybe one day, maybe someday, but not now. Okay. There's still a lot of work needs to be done before we reach that level. But the most important thing is that we need to be different. Okay. So I remember that when I first joined the company, I had to go in for to take part in a tender briefing and all that. It was a bit awkward because, back then, when you talk about women empowerment agenda, it was nothing, it was not something as loud as it is today. So when I went in, it was like, I was the only lady and the rest were men. And then when you talk to clients, even when you talk to female clients, they tend to ignore me because they felt that men in the security, whether or not they do have the certification and the qualifications to advise these clients on security matters, they felt more confidence in dealing with men. Okay. So I took that as a challenge. I was like, look, I so-called graduated from the university from overseas, but of course I didn't have much knowledge about security. So I took that as a challenge, like, I need to do a lot of research. I need to about this security, how to be better. So I read a lot of books on security. I attended a number of courses to get myself certified as a subject matter expert in security. For example, I am currently a certified crime prevention specialist by an accredited agencies in Singapore. And I basically did a lot of benchmarking with competitors in Malaysia as well as abroad. So when I did a lot of research, I was able to get a lot of ideas. It might not be something that everyone else was doing at that moment, but I tried to match whatever new things that I learned with the resources that we have in our company. So for example, back then, when I told people that we are 100% women-owned, women-led company, they were like, yeah, so what's so special about that, Now I was like, look, being a woman, there's so many, characteristic about women that, when you think about it today, makes us a better protector to our clients. For example, women tend to be more nurturing. We are more we have better empathy, compared to men. We look at the statistic, so we will be able to understand the predicament or the situations that our clients are going through. We are very meticulous when it comes to preparing the report. So of course, this is something that did not happen overnight. It took me years to convince our customers. We had to knock on doors, got turned down or turned away many times, but that is also when I saw the opportunity of joining NAWEM, which stands for the National Associations of Women Entrepreneurs of Malaysia, to network and also to learn from other successful entrepreneurs. And by doing so, I was able to take on the best practices, what make them successful, and bring them back into my company and turn it into our business policies in order to compete better with our other competitors in the industry. So networking is definitely very important, and I don't believe in racial-based kind of like organization. So as you know, NAWEM is a multiracial women entrepreneur association, and through NAWEM also, because they got to know me, most of the business I got was actually through word of mouth. Okay, so I think it's a win-win situation for me and the business, that I get to learn new things. At the same time, I was able to use all that as resources for us to get in touch with prospect clients at that time.
So for me, my question to you would be, what have you learned after all these years? Because you are definitely in a unique business, right? Where not many women are in. I think you told me the statistic. I think you're the one of three in the entire. Is it correct? Is the data
There
correct?
are about 900. Okay, the reason why I can say. Sorry, come again?
No, I say that, is it correct, my data that I picked up from you, that you're one of the three women-owned security services company in Malaysia?
Yeah, and the reason why I can say that is because I have access to the database because I am currently serving as the first ever female vice president elected to sit on the Malaysia Security Industry Association. The association has been around for 40 years, and it was in year 2019 that I got elected, and I'm currently serving as vice president. So yes, it is true. Out of the 900, almost 900 security companies that we have in Malaysia, only 3 are owned by women. Okay, and perhaps if we plus a bit more, maybe about 5, but definitely around that numbers. And I'm proud over the fact that my company is the only 100% multi-award women-owned security company in the industry. So it is definitely a huge accomplishment for us, and we are really using it to stand out. Stand out not for the reason that we are owned by women, but to let people know that we can do better. We can provide more effective and efficient services, and we are proud over the fact that the company is owned and run by 100% or majority women.
Yeah. So I was wondering, what were some of the lessons that you've learned all these years as a woman business owner, as a person who holds the family business together, and as a woman who is in really male-dominated industry. So it's like quite unique, right? All these different subsets of things that you're doing. But yeah, what have you learned over these years? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of key learnings.
Yeah, I think 1 hour would not be enough. So if I were to share with you and your audience, I think I can share 2 things. Okay, one is never doubt yourself. Okay, there's no limit to what we can do and what we can achieve. Block out what other people have to say about you, okay? Especially during this difficult time. A lot of people might come to you like, no, you can't do that. No, you're doing this wrongly. No, don't doubt yourself. If you feel strongly about something that you want to do, okay, do research first, okay? Again, you cannot be jumping into a new area when you don't have any information about it. Do a lot of research, equip yourself with the necessary knowledge, take calculated risk, and go for it. Never doubt yourself. Don't look back and be taking a break and making a U-turn. You need to be able to have that confidence in your ability and what you can do to achieve whatever it is that you want in your life. Okay, so that would be one. Never doubt yourself. And secondly, okay, this is something that I strongly believe until today, and I guess this is something what have made us what has helped us to overcome, all these challenges and all these crises that has happened in the past. Being a company who has been in business for 30 years, pandemic like COVID, yes, it is something that is different. We have never experienced such a disastrous pandemic because it involved economy and health. But in the past, you have all these different type of, crises, but we're able to still come out from it strong and be better because of this. Because whenever we look at crises, we don't become panic when we look at crisis. Instead, we look at it as an opportunity for us to be better and come up with something that is different. Okay, so we must be able to have this entrepreneurial mindset where we must be able to embrace crisis, look crisis in the eyes and tell crisis that we love you so much. Okay, thank you for coming into our life. Okay, and now you take a step back, re-strategize all your plans and come up with ways on how you will be able to beat all the challenges that come your way. So that would be my main 2 lessons in life. Never doubt yourself. No one has the right to say that you do not deserve or you're not worthy or whatever that you feel you want to achieve in life. And secondly, don't be afraid of crises. Don't give up, okay? But look at it and embrace them, because rest assured that you will definitely come out better and stronger after everything has passed.
You are a very confident woman. Was that confidence something that was honed over the years, helping your mom in the business? Or was it like naturally as a child, you were super confident?
No. I think it's something that I learned over the years, because, like I mentioned, when I first decided or was in the midst of making a decision whether or not I should join the family business, of course, a lot of people who thought that they are wiser and more knowledgeable than me, they would come to me and say, no, you're making the wrong decision, no here, no there. And of course, I was doubting myself, am I making like the biggest mistake in my life, because once you join the family business, for example, even though if let's say if things didn't work out, but maybe I spent about 3-4 years in helping the family business. By the time I want to go and start apply for jobs, I'm going to lose out to the younger, the fresh graduates, because I didn't have any experience, but I already graduated 3 or 4 years ago. So of course, I was not born like this, Krista, okay? But as I mentioned, it's true the things that I learned, not just from my mother, okay? But also from the friends that I've made, genuine friends that I made from the associations that I joined, like NAWEM and like the Security Industry Association. Of course, my alumni from my universities and all that. So you build on that relationship, because along the way, you will be able to bump into people that really, and when you are able to prove that whatever decision that you made earlier workable for you, that is when you will feel very satisfied with your accomplishment, and that would definitely boost your self-confidence. So maybe I can share, maybe this is a strategy that all entrepreneurs out there would be able to consider. A lot of women in general, people say that they tend not to be in the limelight, okay? Women tend to be a bit shy, they don't want to so-called brag, inverted, about their success and their ability. But to me, bragging is not to be looked as a negative thing, especially when you're promoting something that is substantial about your products and services. If you yourself as an entrepreneur do not, tell people about what you do and what products and services that you have. Who else are going to be, doing that marketing for you, especially when you come from a small business, okay? So I tend to have a thick face, okay? But of course, you don't do hard selling, you must be able to support whatever statement that you make with regards to your business, okay? So don't be shy, be in the limelight, because that's the only way that you will be able to highlight the accomplishment of your business. And also our company, we take part in quite a number of awards, and over the last 30 years, I think if the figures that I have is correct, I think we have successfully achieved, I think, about 14 awards. And the latest award that we got was back in December of 2020, during the pandemic, whereby BG Capital Holdings Group of company was awarded as the first Malaysian SME to receive the inaugural United Nations Women Asia Pacific Women Empowerment Principles Award under the industry and community engagement, So when we got the award from United Nations Women, it's not something that, we went in just for the sake of receiving the award, but is to be accredited by a solid body like United Women that will be able to testify the accomplishment or the achievement that we have able to do in our company in the last many years. So so that has been the things that we do. So I was not born this way, but there's no choice. You have to go for it, and be able.
So then let's talk about family businesses, because I think that's also an important and integral part of who you are, right? Because you're running a family business. So first generation was your mom, and now it's you.
Yes.
So what's the plan for the next generation, the third generation, so to speak?
Okay, interesting. I'm happy to share that, again, when you talk about statistic and studies when it comes to family business, okay, most of the businesses, family-owned businesses in Malaysia, would only last up to second or third generation. That is something that we work very hard in making sure that does not happen. Our legacy to continue for many more generations to come. And that's why we tend to benchmark our business or our family business with, other more successful family business owners from overseas, like Zara, Tata and all that most of the companies or family-owned businesses in Europe can actually last up to 8, 9 generation and beyond. So we would like to see that happening in our family business. So that's the reason why we are doing a lot of planning right now, strategic planning. Okay. For example, although we are still a medium-sized company, we have about 400 plus employees, still medium-sized when compared to the others in Malaysia. But we have successfully put together a family constitution for our family business. Okay. It might not be a familiar term to most of the SMEs, or in fact, among the entrepreneurs in Malaysia, because it's still something that is a bit foreign when it comes to the Malaysia's, business arena. But it is something that is very, very important if you want to make sure that your family business will continue to be sustainable for the next 2 or 3 generations. What is in the family constitution is basically the family governance, everyone's roles and responsibilities. What is the vision of the family business, and what is the purpose of the family business? I think I've shared this with you before. The purpose of doing business, the most important thing, or the number one reason why we are doing business, is definitely because of the bottom line. Okay, there's no point of doing business if you are making losses. Okay, but what Sir Richard Branson has mentioned in the past is that in order for a business to be successful, you must be able to not only have a good bottom line, but you must also be able to take good care of your employees, as well as you must be an organization that serve a purpose for the community. Okay, so that has been embedded into our family constitution. That's how we want to be remembered. That's how we want our legacy to continue. So everything, we actually put it on paper. And the family constitution was structured by a professional consultant. Okay, so it's not something that, it's a Word document that we put everything on Word. But of course, we got input from the second generation family members, the third generation family members, on how we would be able to attract and make sure that the structure of the business, the exit and the entry, or the employment policy, is something that is practical, for the next generation. So that is something that we have to put together on paper, and has successfully been able to do it for our company. So that is something that I would like to see happening in our business, not only to provide the leadership, but I am also currently provide the stewardship of the family business. Yeah, leadership, you're talking about what's the next KPI, what you want to do in terms of your business strategies. But stewardship is to make sure that as we grow, we do not stray away from the true vision and the mission and the. So that is something that I'm focusing on right now. And of course, at the same time, there will be a pet project that I'm in the midst of working on right now. Write a book on our journey, okay, and how we were able to grow our family business for the last 30 years. So I've actually the manuscript. So hopefully by January of next year, January of 2022, we will be able to launch the book, as well as to celebrate our family business 30th Pearl anniversary with everyone. And hopefully our journey will be able to inspire all the aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who are currently owning a small and medium enterprise in Malaysia.
Wow. So there's a lot for you happening, right, in the next couple of months. It's like writing your book and planning the 30th anniversary and doing so much more. And of course, guiding the next generation to take over the family business in a more systematic, more structured manner, rather than leaving it to like.
But I think the most important thing. Yes, exactly. But like I said, never doubt yourself. The most important thing is we must be able to prioritize. Okay, I'm glad that I'm now in a position whereby the operations of the company is pretty much stable. We have like a clear SOP, clear KPIs for the employees. So during the pandemic, honestly speaking, I've not been going to the office. I opt to work from home because I have two small children, 7-year-old and 9 years old. So I opt to work from home. But how I keep track on what is happening at the office is that we have daily Zoom meeting, okay, just to have like a quick conversation, just to update one another about what's happening. And we also have like a monthly management meeting. And so that is how we monitor the performance of everyone. And I'm also glad that the core business under our group companies falls under the essential services. So despite of what is happening, in Malaysia right now, our business pretty much, is business as usual for Brani Guide and a few other businesses. Although, for example, the event space, we weren't able to host or to organize anything because of the restriction of the pandemic. So I think the most important thing, prioritize. And what I do at home now is to spend more time with my children, do a lot of cooking, which I love. I really enjoy doing, because I don't know whether I have shared this with you before, but remember when we met in Hawaii in 2019?
19. Yes.
Yes, 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just want to share this with your audience that, you're from Penang. I used to live in Penang for 2 years, but we never got the chance to bump into each other in Penang, but we met for the first time on the beautiful island of Hawaii, thanks to the East West Center Changing Faces Leadership Program. So something that I shared with when I got invited to go to Hawaii again as a panel speaker in 2019, one of the things that I shared with the others is how I was in a situation, back in 2010 when I attended the same course that you attended in 2019. I was actually in the midst of taking a break from the family business just because I wanted to grow the family. Okay, at that time, actually, I joined my husband, who was doing his PhD in Scotland at the University of Edinburgh. We've been married for quite some time, but no luck to have children. But that's when I decided, family always comes first, regardless. Okay. So that's when I decided. I, of course, discussed with my mom. She was still around at that time. I told her that I want to take a break from the business for at least 1 year or 2 years, just to, try to grow our family, take the opportunity to join my husband in Scotland. And that's what I did, and got the chance to also got invited to take part in the East West Center Changing Faces. And what happened was 8 months after I moved to Scotland with my husband, that's when I conceived my first daughter naturally without any help or whatever. And the reason why Hawaii is very significant in that story was because I think the Hawaiian, they always believe that when you see a turtle, it's a sign of fertility. So I did see a turtle when I was doing the snorkeling back in 2010, and true enough, a few months later, I conceived my first baby. So family is always very important for me. Business comes second, and my husband comes third.
I hope he's not hearing this podcast.
Hopefully.
But thank you for sharing that story. I didn't know that part about you, but of course I knew about you being in the program, the same program that I was in, and then how we met in Hawaii, which is very strange because two Malaysians meeting far off, in one island there. But
Yes.
I'm glad we met. And I also believe that sometimes things happen for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain
Yes.
things, certain times, it happens for a reason. And now you have more time to spend with your family, and you can cook and do all the family things that you can do with your kids.
Yes, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Again, but I have to say this cautiously because different people experience this pandemic differently.
Differently,
Okay. Yeah, so I just have to be cautious when I say that, because some people, they find it very difficult to survive during this pandemic. But as for me, I'm grateful, maybe because of the last 20 years sacrifice that I have done, in growing the business. It has come to a point where, as I mentioned earlier, we are more stable in terms of our operations, so the perks of all that is that I'm able to now, spend more time with my kids, assist them with their online class. But I do delegate with my husband. So my husband also works from home, although he works in a GLC. He's not involved in the family business, but we delegate, whereby he will focus in terms of assisting the children with their online class, whereby I make sure that there will be good food
on the table.
And, during this, in the afternoon, I would definitely spend some time, doing some gardening. It's very, I think, personal, the well-being, our health, mental and is very important as well. We need to be able to take care of that as well. Yeah. So at the same time, every day at 3:30, I will have a Zoom meeting. That's when I'm going to be like all about business with my employees, and after that, just take a short break and just have your own quality time, doing whatever you want at home. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do that and able to spend this afternoon having this conversation with you.
Yeah. So then if we look back in your years of running the business, right? What do you think was that one single thing that you did differently that made all the difference? Like, what was that key thing that you felt like because you did that, that's how the business actually grew?
Okay. Again, it would take me like 1 hour to answer that question. But I would say, because I've mentioned about, I've shared two things earlier about, never doubting yourself, and embrace crisis. So for this question, I think the one thing that I did differently is I am, and until now I am still very ambitious. Okay, I am never satisfied with not to say that I'm not grateful, but I think in terms of doing business, you must always aim to grow. Okay, whether in terms of the sales figure, at the moment our business is, our sales figure I think is around 8 digit now. Maybe someday I want it to be as successful as the other family business like Berjaya, like Sunway and all that. So that gives me the motivation that in everything that we do, okay, day in and day out, we must be able to be better. We must be able to innovate. Okay, we must be able to be different, like not complacent. So I think the that would be the thing in me, is that I am very ambitious, okay, but not to the point of sacrificing the family relationships or the quality time that I have in my life. I have to balance the family and business, but being ambitious will always help me to always think of something new to do. But in order to do something new, I would always, look back at what are the resources I have and what are the things that, I have to sacrifice in order to do or to achieve that ambition. If it's something that is not going to be healthy for my family or the relationship between me and my family members, for example, to sell this company and make easy money for myself, that is something that I definitely would not consider. So yeah, you need to have ambition, what you want to achieve in life, but be mindful that it has to be balanced. It has to be something that is achievable in life, as well as would give you would be meaningful to you and impactful in a good way to others.
Okay. And I think it's also good that you raised the point of being ambitious, because I think a lot of times people may want to say that they're ambitious, but they probably feel that it's a little bit reluctant to say so. So I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you mentioned it. So let's make it commonplace, right? Let's make it common.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned to you that I think one of the things that I had to do during my younger days is I have to have this thick face, because if I were to compete with other more established companies, of course, they would have they are in a better position, to win the contracts or whatever. So I do not have anyone else to talk about the company because people don't know about the company. So you yourself as an entrepreneur, you must be able to be bold, be in the limelight. No matter how small your business is, no matter how new you are in the world of entrepreneurship, you must be able to be bold and be wanting to be in the limelight for a good reason, and you have to do it with integrity. If you look at the current trend right now, a lot of people like to be on the social media, they like to sell their things, I don't mean that kind of limelight, but I mean, in terms of your products and services, you must be able to have quality products. And when you say that your product is of quality, you must be able to have facts to support that statement that you make. So you must be an entrepreneur, a business of substance, not just for the sake of saying something to close the deal, but you have to work towards making sure that whatever that you say, you are able to deliver better than the rest of the competitors. So that's why I don't mind saying that I am ambitious, because when I set a goal, something that I believe is achievable within my means, I will say it out loud, because it will force me to make sure that I'm able and will definitely get it done. Again, just like the books, I already say it to you and your audience. So hopefully by January 2022, when we celebrate our 30th anniversary, you will be able to find that book in the bookstore. And hopefully my 20 years of experience in this business on how we grow this 30-year-old family business will become an inspiration to others.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. So we're almost to the top of the hour, but I still have two more questions. Okay, so it's a little bit more personal.
Sure.
What are you no longer afraid of?
Failure. Okay. Because I think in the past, whenever I want to make, if I want to do something, I always think about what happened if I fail. I cannot fail, I remember when I was in standard 6, I still remember, sometimes you have that moment, it happened like when you were little, but you still have that vivid moment.
Yeah. And you still can remember that, right? Immediately,
Yes,
right?
Yes, I think I mentioned to you earlier that being ambitious, so I always study very hard. I always become number one. If I get number 2 in class, I will be like so frustrated. Will be very disappointed. So in the past, I've always afraid of a failure. Like I cannot be number 2 or number 3. I always must be number 1. Whatever I do must be successful. Okay, but after I joined the business, for example, of course, I'm going to be very open to you. Not every ventures or business ideas that I have put forward for the business actually work. We had some failures along the line, involve money as well, lots of money. But I think from that experience, and especially having my mom, again, as I mentioned, who's very supportive, she's very open. She was not like oh, this is your fault, you should have listened to me, that kind of mentality or attitude. It made me, or it provided me with some good learning experience in my life, that everyone will bound to fail, in their life. It's just that we must be able to look at failure as something that would help us to be better. We learn from our mistakes. You cannot avoid to fail. You cannot be having like 100% success rate in every single thing that you do, whether it's in the business, whether in your marriage, whether in your family and all that. You will fail, and fail is something that is good. Okay, only if you learned from your mistakes, okay, and try to think of a way that you will not repeat the same mistakes again in the future. So I'm not afraid if for example, if let's say our family business, touch wood, can only last for another generation, at least I won't be disappointed. I know that at least I have done my very best to make sure that the family business will have a proper structure to
I think you dropped off a little bit just now. So you were trying to finish that sentence. I think I only missed that last
Sorry
part.
about that. Okay. Yeah,
But
okay.
it's okay.
I was
Don't
saying,
worry, because I kind of know that. Remember, before we got onto this call, we talked about the internet issues because everyone is working from home. So don't worry about that. And I want to ask you
yeah.
too, what's the craziest thing you ever done? Not snorkeling in Hawaii,
Mm.
right?
No, that's
Not
a
that,
fun thing.
right?
That's not. Yeah, no, no. It's not. I don't know whether you can categorize it as crazy, but something that I love doing until now. Okay, which is to go to. I love to go to live concerts. We're not talking about live band or performance. I'm talking about big Lady Gaga, Green Day kind of like concerts, Metallica concerts and all that. I think that is something that I picked up when I was studying in the States. There was abundance of, big concerts. I've been to Green Day's concert, No Doubt, Metallica and all that. And that is somehow something that I still love doing. In fact, in Malaysia, it was in 2019. My God, I'm so old right now. I still go to concerts. In 2019, I took my daughter uh, to watch Shawn Mendes concert in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so my husband was like, Saliza, you're already in your 40s. How can you still want to go to that kind of concert? So, no, I just love the environment, because if you really understand or really appreciate the amount of work they put in terms of setting up the stage and all the things that goes into a concert, you would definitely love and appreciate it. And that is also something that I think, again, I mentioned it, I picked up from the United States, because when I was studying at Purdue, we have this Elliott Hall. Okay, this is a big hall that even Mariah Carey, Smashing Pumpkin, they would actually come and perform at Elliott Hall. That's the beauty things about the universities in the state. They would actually use our Convocation Hall as a venue for their concert. So at Purdue, again, I'm very thick-faced. I like to challenge myself. I actually joined the Purdue Student Concert Committee. And I actually, at that time, served as the vice president, okay, the deputy president, sorry, and whereby we are a group of Americans and international students where we would actually work in the green room, when and do all the necessary work when the artists are going to come to perform at Purdue. So that is something crazy that I did. None of the other Malaysians have ever joined this Purdue Student Concert Committee. But the great thing is that I got to go backstage and personally met with some of the artists in the green room. So that is something crazy, but I love doing it because it gives me utmost joy in going through or experiencing the whole music and performance.
No wonder you like going for concerts. Now I understand. Because it's like, it
Yeah,
reminds you of your university days and how you used to be a committee, right? In organizing those events and all that. Wow.
yeah.
So that really is an insight into you. I would have never thought that would be the thing that you would say, because a lot of people say things like, oh, I went paragliding, I went climbing mountains and doing all those bungee jumping stuff. But yours is unusual, really, really unusual.
It makes me feel younger. Makes me feel young, even though I'm no longer young.
That's a good thing, because we
Mm,
need to be young at heart and keep on having something interesting happening in our lives, to make our lives more purposeful and meaningful, right?
I
And
agree.
and final question before we end this interview. I'm sure I've asked you a ton of questions, and I would have asked you a ton more. There's so many things I would have loved to go into, but probably for the next round, right? So, what is that one key takeaway? If you could sum it up, I know we've spoken a lot about being in a family business, working with your mom, and of course now handing over to the third generation, as well as your own personality and how you encourage women to be more ambitious and to be really open about doing things with other women, right? Networking and all that. So what would be that one key takeaway if the person say,
Okay.
okay, I want to sum up what's all this about?
Okay. I would say that whether you are entrepreneur, whether you are a mother, whether you are a father, because this is very genderless, it applies to everyone. That at the end of the day, you must be able to look into yourself, look inside yourself, and find your true purpose of life. It is necessary to live a life with a purpose. Okay, if you're doing a business, don't just look at bottom line as the reason for you doing business, but you must be able to do business and have the reason for existence. A lot of people in business, they do business because profit is their sole objective. But if profit is your sole objective in doing business, you will not truly understand or do not have a reason of existence. Okay, so I think that's would be my advice to everyone. We live a life with a sense of purpose, something that would be meaningful to you here and in the afterlife. And hopefully when you have that understanding, whatever you do, whether it's in your family, whether it's your business, things will go smoothly and you will be able to understand and be grateful with whatever achievement or failure that come your way.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm glad I asked you. Actually, when I was in Hawaii, I was telling myself, when I start my podcast, I would like to interview, of course, a number of people. I already have them in my mind. It was so easy because I had so many Asia Pacific friends. And I'm sure you know, right? Even from your cohort, you had so many of them. And I told myself, I have some people in mind, and you are one of them. You're one of them. So I'm glad we managed to have this interview and this conversation and have you share your insights over the last 20 years of being in the business with your mom, your late mom, and now being that person who will continue to grow the business into the future with your third generation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It is going to be an emotional journey. And I just want to thank you, Krista, for the opportunity. And just something to share, I love your logo. It's similar to our Berani Guts logo, which is a tiger. So it's a good sign. I wish you all the best. And thank you once again for having me on your program.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Did you get a bunch of aha moments when Saliza was talking about her family business experience? What resonated most with you? Running a family business isn't easy, but in Saliza's case, it is doable. Give me your thoughts on family businesses, especially if you're managing one. For show notes and how you can connect with Saliza, visit womenpreneurs.asia.com. If you have a question that you'd like me to ask any of our guests, let me know. I'll try to incorporate your question in my upcoming season. In next week's episode, I'll be speaking to Chalita Hongsakul of Thailand. Together with her partners, Chalita started a business that combined feminine fashion with activewear for Thai women. As a management consultant with long work hours, Chalita said that she decided to become healthier by exercising. And when she wanted to do so, she couldn't find anything that fit her need for fun and fashion without making her resemble a super athlete. She saw a gap in the Thai market that was waiting to be filled with a homegrown activewear brand and started the Waking Bee Corporation. How does a management consultant without experience in activewear or fitnesswear manufacturing successfully grow a Thai brand amidst all the foreign brands? Let's find out in Chalita's story next week.